along with me and Bruno, your usual hosts. And Marie, Siobhan, Emily, hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for making it here. And sort of to start things off, I mean, the season has ended, and this is actually our first actual podcast after the season. So how was the season for you guys, for each of you? And sort of, did it meet your expectations? What did you think of the season as a whole? I mean, Energy Standard got second. This is probably not what you guys wanted, but this is still an excellent result. Mary, do you want to start? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Come on, Em, start.
I think like we had no idea about that whole jackpot rule until we like landed in Budapest. So I think we didn't really understand how that was going to work and how that was going to play. And I think in that last meet especially, like Caleb Dressel scored 100 points to himself, and that was you know, us coming second or us coming first was Caleb Dressel. So I mean, like, we can't be disappointed because I think we all swam so well, and you know, we really got together as a team and really enjoyed our experience. And I think, you know, if the next season is the same sort of ruling, I think we just have to think maybe more strategy behind how we race and how we swim events as well.
Yeah, I think, you know, Emily really said it, like the jackpot rule, we really didn't know how that will affect us, especially at the first match. But then I think throughout the whole season, we use like different strategies and we figure out how to maximize our points and where should we put people, where should we rest people. And everyone has been improving. Like at the end of the meet, I think everyone has like seasonal best, personal best, and we all came together as a team. We all enjoyed it. We had a lot of fun. And even though we didn't win, I think it's still a success. We all tried our best and had fun. And I think that's what matters.
Yeah, like the cool thing about our team, I felt like we were the one that improved the most out of like everyone. So like at every match, we kept getting better and better because like I think we got surprised after like the first day of the first match and be like, hey, we got to start from there and then like build from it and just like keep improving yourself. And I think like as a team, we really did do this well.
Okay, thank you guys. Emily, Siobhan, you both kind of touched upon the strategy side of it. And Siobhan, you're absolutely right. This is such a dense meet. Like, you guys are all racing 3, 4, 5 times a session. And yet majority of the swimmers ended up with PBs after this meet. Why? And what are the strategies you guys sort of tweaked around to get these results eventually?
I think what's special about ISL is that it's very different than normal swim meets, because normally at like World Champs or Olympics, you have 1 or maybe 2 races a day, and you know, you have to feel like you're very rested and everything. But for ISL, you just swim so many events in 2 hours, and you know, you're not even recovered from the first event, and then you have to like swim the second one like 10 minutes later. And so I think this way of racing, it really pushes you mentally. And sometimes, you know, even though you're physically very tiring, it's all about the mental aspect of racing. And you have to like tell yourself like, okay, yeah, I know I'm tired, but I'm going to swim as fast as I can. And, you know, sometimes you just need that extra push mentally, and maybe that's all you need to go a best time. And I think team-wise, when we talk about strategies, the coaches really focus on like, how can we rest people and like maybe their 1 or 2 events so that they can maximize points in their best events. So maybe, you know, rest people in their individual events, maybe not have them swim 1 event so that they could be more rested at skins and score more points and make it to round 3. And I think it's like through all the different matches that you realize like what works best for the team.
Thank you. Emily, do you agree?
Yeah, I think like going into more detail, like we the first meet I swam, you know, I think it was the 2 back early in the program, then there was the free relay, then I swam the 50 back, and that was maybe like 10 minutes before that final medley relay, which was kind of like the really big relay that you needed to win to then pick the skins. So I think, you know, the first meet I went through, I did everything and I was okay. And then I said to James, like maybe like to maximize my potential in that relay, because it's more important than that 50 backstroke, because it was so hard to score jackpot points in a 50 anyway. So we decided to rest me from the 50 back and focus on that relay. And then I think, you know, I started actually doing really well and swimming really well in that relay. So that was like one of the strategies that we used to kind of maximize my potential in that relay to help us to then pick the skins.
Okay, absolutely. This makes total sense. But at the same time, this strategy can backfire. I mean, have a look at the final and Kira Toussaint in that 50 backstroke. She decided not to swim, just to rest for this relay, and it didn't work out for her. I mean, she swam, no disrespect to Kira, but a little slower than her individual performance. And then right next to her we had Olivia Smaliga, who decided to swim the 50 backstroke. And maybe she did so well that she was riding that high, and all of a sudden she also does great on the relay. So do you think this is...
Yeah, I think it's like a personal thing. Like some people swim better when they're a little bit more fatigued. Some people swim slower. Like it all depends on, I guess, your individual preference, but also too, like sometimes even just taking someone out of one event and putting them in another event, and knowing that that event is that relay, there's like maybe it's just a little bit more pressure. They feel like they really have to force a really good swim, and because you haven't swum before, you're really like pushing yourself. Like I call it like muscling, like you're muscling the swim instead of just like letting it flow. So sometimes like that's like a factor that comes into it and can slow you down. But I mean, yeah, it's personal preference, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you, Emily.
And a lot of you guys mentioned that mental aspect. Can you tell us a little bit about the culture in Energy Standard? And for example, for you, Siobhan, that you were a new addition to the team. Mari, you were last season with the team. And Emily, how was the interaction with these new swimmers from all over the world, with the coaches, and what happened there?
Yeah, I felt really welcome onto the team. I didn't really know anyone before joining the team, but when I went there, everyone was really nice. And I think one thing so special about Energy Standard is that we have people from so many countries, and so that, you know, there's a lot of respect between each other, and we're all different, but we come together really well. And you can like really learn a lot from all these different swimmers and coaches, and the whole environment is just amazing. And I don't know, like I feel like we're a really great team and we all get along really well.
Oh, that is beautiful to hear.
Yep.
Thanks, Siobhan. Marie, how was the experience for you in this regards?
Yeah, it was fun. I always enjoy these kind of meets. It's just like, I feel like it takes this pressure off a little. Like it's so much fun, and you get to like represent your team, and you just want to like be better every time you swim, just to like make more points and like be there for your team. And I've enjoyed the experience. It was fun.
Hell yeah.
And Emily, how was... Go ahead,
you said it was a little easier for you mentally. There seems to be quite of a disagreement amongst the athletes, because half of the athletes we spoke to say it's actually more mentally taxing because you're swimming for the team also, and they expect you to perform. And this is sort of a question towards everyone, not only Marie. I mean, how is it for you in this regards? Is it more mentally taxing? Is it less, and why?
Well, personally, like, I came into this meet, the first match, and like, I didn't really know what to expect, because back home, my pool had been closed for the past week before I got here. Got to Budapest. So I was like really a bit clueless of where I would be at. So I tried to like not put too much pressure on my actual races, and knew I could be better like after a couple of match. So I tried to like stay focused on just like improving a little. And I think it took the pressure off of like performing really well at the beginning, because I was like, if I keep training and putting stuff together, then at the end in the final I'll be fine. And I really like these kind of meets because it goes by so quickly. It's only 2 hours, and I don't know, I felt like I was racing back and back, and I didn't have time to overthink it. I was just like, okay, do this onto the next one, and then it was done. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, overthinking is a big part of it, isn't it? Yeah. Is it the same for you, Emily and Siobhan?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I always put pressure on myself to swim well. And when you have such a great team behind you, you really want to swim well for the team, because doing that helps the team out and helps us to get where we are. But I think like the good thing about Energy Standard is, yeah, we have so many people from all over the world and we all come together. But I think the fact that we come together and we have so much fun with each other and we can really connect with one another, it really brings us together. And I know between matches, we were playing Mario Kart, we were playing a few games on the Nintendo and just having like a laugh with each other. And I think that's so important, to be able to really connect with your team, because then, you know, it helps you compete well too. I think when you're happy, you really compete well. And I was always happy being with my team, so I always did pretty good.
All right, thank you. So it wasn't, just to summarize, it wasn't mentally taxing for you knowing that the team is there. It was rather a relief for you.
Yeah, it was. I mean, like obviously, like you put pressure on yourself to compete well for the team, but knowing that the team have your back and that every single person there supports you, it's just kind of like, yeah, a relief. Like you just feel good.
Okay, thank you. Makes total sense to me. Siobhan, what about you? Would you agree to Emily, Marie?
Yeah, definitely. I agree with both of them. And I especially agree when Emily said that, like, you know, that the whole team is there behind you and they're always there to support you. And I know for me, there are times that it could be like my third event of the day and I'm pretty tired, but when I'm behind the blocks, I look to our team box and see like there are so many athletes and coaches there supporting you. And then that is the last bit of energy and motivation that I need, knowing that, you know, my teammates are there to cheer for me and support me. And you know, sometimes that's all you need to swim a fast race.
Thank you, Siobhan. Talking about swimming mini events, Siobhan, what is the secret? Nowadays, the freestylers seem to sort of separate. You either do the 50 and the 100, maybe you do the 100 and the 200, maybe the 200 and the 400. But it's a really rare freestyler nowadays that can do the 100, 200, and the 400. Why is this, in your opinion, and what makes you different?
You know, I wouldn't say I'm really that great in the 400. I wasn't expecting to swim it before going to Budapest. I think it was the third day that we arrived there, and I was having a meeting with James and Tom, our coaches, and they said, we might put you in the 4 free, so be prepared. And I was like, okay, but I've never done it before. So, you know, I'm willing to swim whatever events the team needs me, and 4 free happened to be that. I don't know, like I don't really have that many experience swimming longer distance. I'm more a 200 freestyler, but in my training, I try to swim like a bit longer than 200, so practice like the back half of my 200. So I think it's definitely hard if you really want to focus on the 100, 200, and the 400, because 100 is more like a speed sprint event and 400 is more like a distance. So I wouldn't say I've mastered that, but I think if you want to be a good 200 freestyler, swimming the 400 would also be good, just to train your endurance. But then the 100 would also be, you know, beneficial because you can practice your like speed work. But yeah, I don't really know.
Fair enough. Could we potentially see you drop down to the 50?
I feel like our team has a lot of sprinters. They don't need me anytime soon.
What if the 4x50 freestyle relay comes in?
That would be great. I would do it if that's happening.
Okay, thank you, Siobhan.
And Ivan, you mentioned the amount of events that Siobhan swim during the ISL, but I mean, Mary-Sophie Harvey, last season, you were swimming a lot of the middle distance events like the 200 breast to fly and 4 IM. And this season, James put you in the 100 IM, 50 backstroke, and remain in the 2 fly and 4 IM. I mean, how did you feel this change? And I mean, it was very positive. You destroyed the field in most of your races.
It was really fun. I know last season, I kept bugging the coaches to just like put me in one relay because I was like, I know I can like be okay in a relay, I think. And I kept asking and I didn't get to do it. But this season, I think it was like the second one, they put the line up and I was in a relay and I was like, yay, I can do one sprint. The next thing you know, I was doing it at every match and I was like, oh, this is fun. So I feel like because the first match, it was like kind of hard for me because my races didn't go as planned as I would wanted them to be. So they started to like put me in some sprints to see where I was at. And then I managed to be okay. So they were like, oh, I'm going to put you in there. And I was like, oh, this is fun. I really enjoy doing a bunch of different races because it's nice when you don't get to do some races often and you get to see a best time. Sometimes it's nice because when you do all the time your best races, sometimes it takes a while to do a best time. So when you do different ones, it takes the pressure a bit away.
Thank you,
totally.
Mary. With that being said, by the way, do you think this could be partially attributed to COVID? Because you're absolutely right. Just judging by your performances, it seemed like when you first arrived, your sprints were pretty much on point already, but the longer events kind of took time to roll in. I mean, by the time of final, it seemed like you were fine both in the 400 IM and in the 50 backstroke. But it really took you a little longer for the longer distance events. Would this be because of COVID, or why would this be?
Yeah, well, definitely, since like I couldn't really train and I kept doing cardio on the side, like outside the pool, running and stuff. And I feel like it's easier when you do sprints. I'm not really a sprinter, so I can't really say much, but I feel like it's easier for me to get my speed up quickly. And it takes a bit longer to do like 2 and 400s and actually like be able to come back on the second half of the race. I feel like you need more training and more swimming.
Yeah, totally agree with you. And Emily, in the final, Mari mentioned the final, you were very solid in the 2 backstroke, finishing in second place with a 2-1 low. And also your 100 backstroke in the relay was better than your individual. So what would you say changed leading into that final? And yeah, can you tell us a little bit about it?
I think as we've like touched on before, it's just like the willingness to want to swim really well for your team. I know like we obviously started the season, the ISL season, kind of like a bit lower than we would have been. I think like with COVID and all our pool closures and not being able to race, we kind of really didn't know where we would be at. So we really used that as like our like first stepping stone, and we really wanted to improve every meet. So I think we kind of had that drilled in, like James and Tom really wanted us to get better each meet. So I think like that was like the expectation. Then we had that 2 weeks where we kind of just really got back into hard training, and then we had match after match after match. And just like being able to improve like each time was like really important to the whole team, but to me as well. Like just seeing me chip away on like my best time and like getting back down to times that I hadn't been for so long was really, really good for me. Like it was basically my reason to come was to get that confidence back, to race internationally, to race against the best in the world. And I got that experience, and I'm really glad that I did, because I don't think that I would have the confidence next year to be able to go to our Olympic trials and try and make the team, knowing that I hadn't raced anyone internationally for like 2 years.
Thank you, Emily. And just touching base upon this a little bit, I mean,
it totally showed that you were in very good shape.
yeah, but with this being said, I mean, judging from a spectator's point of view, 2018 and 2019 were a bit of a down years for you. But then now all of a sudden 2020, from one point of view, you look at the circumstances leading to the ISL Budapest 2020, they were very far from optimal, even comparing to 2018, 2019 for you probably. But all of a sudden you're on your way to hitting all your best results once again. I mean, what was the change? Why are we seeing this from you right now?
I think like COVID was like a real game changer. I think for all athletes all over the world, like it really made us kind of step back and go, okay, well, what do we want to do? Like, do we want to work harder and try and make that team next year? Or do we just want to like have a rest, have a break, like go out with your friends, get drunk, whatever? Like, you know, for me, it was like, no, I want to do this. So I've got to work really hard. So the entire COVID period, I think I got up to like 15 Ks of running and doing that in like an hour and 34 minutes. So like, you know, for me, it was like really impressive, like to see how much I could push myself. And basically when pools reopened in Australia I think it was like mid-June or late June, I was like, okay, like, like, you know, I'm going to want to work really hard at this, and I'm going to put in everything that I can. And like just before getting on this call, I actually got an email from like our sports scientist that goes through like all the results at ISL, watches all the tapes, and then kind of gives you all the analysis on it. He sent me through that like my swimming speed is the fastest it's ever been, and the only thing that didn't get me to my best times was my skill. So it gives me something to work on, and it makes me realize that I'm doing a really good job in my training. I just need to work on those like tiny little things that's going to give me that extra benefit. So yeah, it's like really, really positive for me.
Oh, wow. And yeah, this is great news coming into the potential long course season, right? Yeah.
Yeah, long course, I'm for it.
Hopefully. All right, guys, into the less comfortable questions, let's put it this way. We spoke about energy standard performance this season. It was excellent. It was tremendous, but you guys were still one step short. What do you guys think wasn't quite there this season? Was it the introduction of jackpot time rule? Was it Caleb Dressel alone standing in your way? Or, I mean, what is it? And what do you guys look to change possibly for next season to be victorious?
I think we all got a little bit surprised with the new rules, especially on the first match. We didn't really know what to expect. But yeah, though this new rule is actually like quite important. And last season, I feel like we did a really good job at not coming last and getting those extra little points. But I feel like this year the focus is more on winning the event and try to get as much points, like steal as much point as you can. And I feel like we got a little bit surprised by like how many points you can actually get from one event. Like Lily King in a 50 breaststroke could like get up to 30 points, which is massive. And I feel like just those little things that just like caught us by surprise.
Okay, so the change for next season would be potentially recruit more jackpotting swimmers, or I don't know, maybe rest people a little more and sort of rely on their jackpot abilities more than like having one person swim 5 to 6 events in one session.
I feel like it would be
like, definitely.
Yeah.
If, let's say you are in James Gibson's shoes, what would the strategy you try to implement for next season? Will be the big change?
I think it would be like to rest the best swimmers as much as like we can, and put like the swimmers that can do a bunch of different races and just like put them in there while we rest our best guys to actually get the jackpots.
Fair enough. Emily, Siobhan, do you agree?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think in that last in the final, like getting those medley relay swims and winning them, and then getting the skins obviously puts you in a really good position. And I think like that last meet was really, really hard because like we knew that if we didn't win the women's relay, that they would choose breaststroke. And obviously they were so strong in the women's breaststroke that it was always going to be Callie in that. And I guess like we tried to make a play on the men's relay and actually swim breaststroke to knock out Callie altogether. But obviously like Caleb scoring like 100 points, like it was just almost like it wasn't impossible. I think that maybe there were some strategies that we could have used throughout that day one. And I think also I feel like maybe finishing day one and seeing how far we were behind and then trying to start day two, I think maybe we needed a bit more positivity on day one and not worrying about Callie winning, you know, so many points, just focusing on what we were doing and how to best get our best swims out there.
Thanks, Emily. Siobhan, do you agree? Do you have anything to add?
No, I think they said it pretty well. We, on one hand, you'd want to rest your best swimmers to get more jackpot points, but on the other hand, like you also want to maximize your points, and sometimes those swimmers can also swim other events and get more points. But I think really the focus would be to win the medley relay so that you can pick the skins and choose a stroke that's to your advantage. And yeah, I think the medley relay really is the big thing. So if we can recruit swimmers, like maybe focus on that.
Okay, fair enough. A lot of words have been said about the medley relay, and I totally agree with you guys. This is the most important event of the entire meet. And if we just come back to the final for a second, you guys won the men's medley relay, and you got to pick the skins, and you went for breaststroke. This was a surprise for me personally, and I think for Bruno as well, just because you guys have the two reigning defending world record holders in the 50 backstroke, one in short course, one in long course. And then alongside, you guys have Yevgeny Rilov, who is in tremendous shape. You guys have three of probably the four best backstrokers that were present at the final. Do you guys think at all that going breaststroke was a bit of a mistake?
I think the reason we chose well, I'm not the coaches, but this is what I think. We chose men's breaststroke because that's one of Callie Condor's weakest stroke. So we're trying to pick a stroke that Callie would score the least amount of points in, and it seems like breaststroke would be the one. So yeah.
I'm just saying, we've seen Caleb Dressel do freestyle, butterfly, breaststroke, but we've never seen him do backstroke.
I think like the backstroke was just like, it was never a guarantee who was going to win that. I think, you know, different people were winning it each time. So I think we had better chances in that breaststroke of knocking Callie out. And even if PD did win, that wasn't a surprise. And we weren't trying to steal, like we were trying to get points away from Callie. It didn't really matter that London was still in it.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. I mean, if you went with backstroke, it would have probably been the reversal with Ryan Murphy from LA Current.
Yeah.
But
I feel like
yeah, I mean, fair enough.
The 50 back, I feel like the field was so stacked in the final. Like all the guys were all like the fastest of like the whole series. So like it was super close. So I feel like breaststroke, it was more open, so we could actually get more points out of it.
Yeah, 100%. But you just had Clement Kolesnikov beat the world record in the 100-meter backstroke. It just seemed such an obvious pick at the time. But to be honest with you, we've made some calculations, and even if you guys went with backstroke and went to 1-2 into the final round, it wouldn't have changed the final outcome of the team positions. But thank you for your insight. Could we turn our attention for a second towards the roasters? Do you expect the roster of Energy Standard to change a lot for next season, or would you expect it to stay relatively unchanged? And what about the rosters of the teams in general? Because we're going to have a draft period.
I think introducing the draft system would definitely change things up a bit. It'll definitely make the teams more even. So I think the teams would change a bit. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see, especially with if the Olympics are happening, people might retire, or you might discover new swimmers. So then you'll add some new swimmers, and then some swimmers would be gone. So I feel like there'll be some pretty big changes to teams.
Yeah. And for example, Ivan mentioned the draft. Do you think that the team cultures may change after this?
Probably, but I also think team cultures are created by the swimmers and also by the coaches and the staff members, and Energy Standard has always had a really great team culture, and I'm sure our values and our goals would stay the same, and we just have to bring swimmers on along with these team cultures, and but I think it'll be a little different.
When recruiting, do you expect the coaches to look at all at the personality of the swimmer they're potentially going to be recruiting in Energy Standard, and like their vibe in general to fit your team, like not looking at only at the results like it was probably in the first 2 seasons, but also looking like, does this person fit the team?
I don't know. Well, I'm glad I'm not one of the coaches that have to decide all of this. But I think they're gonna pick what they think is best for our team, and I'm sure it will be good. And yeah, I feel like the swimming community is big, but it's actually so small, and everyone is super close together in some way. So I feel like whoever is in our team next season is just going to be as welcome as anyone. So
fair enough. But do you think the coaches will put any extra effort in actually getting to know the swimmer before they recruit him now? I know the coaches do a call before this and an email exchange, but how do I say this? For example, in the US system, before you actually pick a college, you get to go on recruiting trips, and the team gets to spend some time with you. You get to spend time with the team, and after this, you can make a better decision for yourself, and the team can make a better decision if they want the swimmer on board or not. Do you expect something similar, or maybe with the same purpose, emerge in the ISL?
I think going into the first season of ISL, I had done a trip to Turkey and trained at Gloria for a bit. So I think it is important to know your swimmer before getting them on the team. You want to know that personality, what they like, what they don't like, and kind of get an understanding of how that you can get them to that best result. I think James does a really good job of that. He's always open to anyone going over to Turkey, training with him and the squad out there, and really seeing how you kind of fit into the group of swimmers that he has out there. That's amazing. And I think just knowing where they would sit in the team, obviously there were a few new people that we had on the team this year that we didn't have in the last season of ISL, and I think you really need some people that are really kind of open to talking to everyone and including those new people in some of those things that we were doing, just so we can create a really good culture. And obviously you can see that because whenever someone's not racing, they're in that box and they're cheering for those teammates, whether they're new teammates or whether they've been on the team for years. So I think that's really important, and I think that really helps us lift and get to our best results because we're all happy with each other and we all enjoy each other's company.
Thank you, Emily. Yeah, that makes total sense. With this being said, training in Turkey, especially with the COVID situation, do you guys actually expect Energy Standard with majority of the people to come back to Antalya anytime soon? Or
I feel like the situation right now is so, like, every week it changes. Like, I'm like back home, the government keep changing rules and stuff, and like we don't really know what's gonna happen next. So I feel like, well, if I was a coach, which I'm not, but I feel like it would be safer for my swimmers to train back home and be in a safer environment. Yes.
Environment.
Yes. Thank you.
makes sense. Thank you. And just for our viewers to sort of get an understanding, what was your guys' journeys after the ISL ended? Maybe start with Marie.
Well, I flew back home the morning after, and I've actually been in quarantine at home for the past week now, and I still got a week to go. Yay.
Thanks, Marie. Siobhan, what about you?
I also flew back home to Hong Kong the day after finals, and I have to quarantine in a hotel for 2 weeks, and I've done 8 days. I'm on day 9 now. Yeah.
Thank you, Siobhan. And Emily? Sorry, did I freeze? Thank you so much, Siobhan. Emily, how about you?
Yeah, well, I took the long journey back to Australia after the morning after Budapest. And I mean, my stop over in Australia was actually in Perth, which is on the other side, which is on the west coast, and I am from the other side of Australia. So I'm got to spend my 2 weeks here in hotel quarantine, work out how to get all my luggage back to Brisbane without paying excess. And I think I'm on day 8 now. And the food is very, very small, like very small. Like I'm an athlete, it's very small. So I'm hungry basically all the time. But apart from that, it's fine. I've got a spin bike and I'm coloring in and I'm losing my mind a bit. But apart from that, I'm good.
There's nothing worse than a hungry swimmer, right?
True.
Nothing unhappier, let's put it this way. So do I get it correct that none of you are able to swim right now?
Yeah.
No.
Wow. Well, you can see ISL comes with a cost for everyone involved. Yeah. But with this being said, we don't want to keep you here for too long. Siobhan, Emily, Marie, thank you so much for making it to this podcast. It was a pleasure once again of having Emily and Siobhan sort of on the podcast a second time through. We were here for the interview the first time, but thank you so much for making it. Marie, your first time, thank you so much for being with us. And yeah, with this being said, we will have a new podcast coming up in 3 days and a match analysis on Sunday. Please tune in. And with that being said, thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.